when people break the law, I don't condone it. I understand the rationale for it, and I think it's a good thing, right? We want Americans to be able to protest. We don't want people locked up for expressing outrage at something that they believe to be an injustice. But the media, again, just like they used the events surrounding George Floyd to try to paint America with this racist brush and use it to drive this narrative that America is a racist society and we have systemic racism. They're doing the same thing here because they're using this to further villainize Donald Trump. And again, I just started this podcast. I am not the biggest Donald Trump fan out there, right? People think that, I'm just supporting Donald Trump every time he does something. I don't. I'm very disappointed in Donald Trump. I'm calling out Donald Trump when I think he does something wrong. But the media is trying to make the problem far worse than it actually is. And what really is so frustrating to me is to see all these people so upset, right? Because they think their champion has been unfairly ousted from office because they believe he was draining the swamp, right? He was a threat to the status quo. He was making America great again. He was a conservative champion of the free market. He was anti-Fed. He was anti-fiat money. He was a conservative champion. He was none of those things. I mean, I wish at least we had all these people coalescing around a guy that actually did what he was pretending to do instead of a false prophet, which is what Donald Trump is. But the media is now able to make it even worse and further discredit everything that Donald Trump supposedly stands for, right? Free markets, less government, deregulation, all that is being further vilified by the way they are covering these protests in Washington, D.C., and they are laying the foundation again to push the country further and further to the left into the waiting arms of a socialist embrace, and Donald Trump is on the other side pushing in the same direction. In fact, I think one of the ways the Democrats are going to try to exploit the protests, in particular, the way the media is covering it. And again, I'm not condoning the fact that the protesters, broke into the Capitol. They shouldn't have done that. The protests should have stayed outside. But the way I think they're going to exploit this is to try to use it as a way to go after the Electoral College, which is one of the goals. The Democrats have said they want to abolish the Electoral College. Now, why do they want to do that? Right? They say it's undemocratic, which of course it is. The entire Constitution was written to be undemocratic. The Founding Fathers did not like democracy. They called it mobocracy. That's why the United States is a republic. That's what the Constitution says it is. The word democracy does not appear in the Constitution. It does not appear in the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, any of our founding documents. If you cite the Pledge of Allegiance, it's to the republic for which it stands, not to the democracy. So yes, the Electoral College is undemocratic by design, but I think this is putting the Electoral College in a bad light. And to the extent that Republicans now somehow think the Electoral College let them down because, Congress isn't somehow overturning the electors and the results of the election, it could leave an opening for the Democrats to try to get rid of it. Now, they can't do it by law. They need a constitutional amendment. You need to amend the Constitution to change the way the president is elected. But this might help drum up the support to actually do that. Now, of course, this would be suicide for the smaller states if they ever were to vote for it, because this is the only thing that's protecting them from tyranny from the bigger states. Because if we went from a system of electors to just a flat democracy where you just count the votes and whoever wins the popular vote becomes the president, well, forget about these small states. They're going to lose all of their political clout, and they're going to be completely at the mercy of the more populous, larger states, which happen to be heavily Democratic, like California, like New York. So if the conservatives are somehow pushing this to the point where it could backfire and cause a loss of the Electoral College, you don't want to protest the Electoral College. If you're conservative, if you want limited government and you want to protest this election, Do not protest the Electoral College. You want to maintain the Electoral College. You can protest at the state levels if you think the states were not following the correct procedures and they allowed some of the people to vote who shouldn't have voted, right? If there were some irregularities at the poll, you can attack that. But be very careful not to attack the Electoral College, that principle, because we need to defend that, because that's the real firewall. And if that firewall goes, then the whole nation is going to burn.